When I went to Mexico with my husband just this last November, he and I went and we did a service project and we helped at an orphanage. And it was a super awesome experience. And one thing we found out as we were there on the very last day, the day we were all going home, was the last day of the Tijuana open house. So we were able to go, most of us in super grubby paint clothes, we were able to go through the Tijuana temple. And it was awesome. We walked through the doors and it just opened up in this big, beautiful room with this big, beautiful staircase. And everything was open. It was like the whole room was shining. The architecture was beautiful. All the people that were there, it's almost like you could feel their spirits. You just walk in and the whole place just felt like peace. And I just remember thinking, there are not very many times I am going to be in a building this beautiful. It was amazing. It was cool because it kind of had that Mexican flair to it. And so, I just was looking at everything. Everything was immaculate. It was clean. It was beautiful. It was amazing. Every corner was seriously perfection. There were some people, because the Mexican people don't have a lot of things. Everywhere we went, they had dirt floors. They had pretty much the same outfits, clothes they wore every single day. They washed their clothes in the river or the ocean. And beat them with rocks. Like, it was third world living in, the places I saw. They were the poorest people ever. They would go around touching the plants to see if they were real. They would touch the paintings. Like, they were all just amazed at this beautiful temple. So 2 days later, well, I guess it was the next day, we stopped by, on our way home, went to Vegas. So I walk in to this beautiful hotel, and the room opened up, and it was amazing, and it was immaculate, and it was awesome, and every single corner was perfection, and every single thing, there was nothing out of place. The architecture was amazing, but guess what? I didn't feel anything when I was in that beautiful building. Every single piece of that building was put together so perfectly, so people would walk in and just think, oh, this looks so nice. But I still felt nothing. So what is the difference? Both of these buildings were amazing. Both of them were beautiful to the eyes. Both of them, when I walked in, I thought, oh, this is awesome. I don't know if I've ever seen something this immaculate. So, how does that relate to us? We all have temples, right? We all either take care of our temples or we do not. We all put certain things in our bodies that we either should or we shouldn't. We either watch things on TV that we should or we shouldn't. So, where we are both temples, we are all temples, beautiful, beautiful places. Some of us, if we're putting those things into our bodies that we shouldn't, it changes from the temple where all these people are there and there's that feeling of peace to now it's more like a place of the world that, yeah, you may look nice and you may act nice. And when people are around you, they have a great time. But do you have that peace in your heart that comes with when you are at the temple or when you are connected with your body and your spirit? Those are two things that we may not always think about, is connecting our body to our spirits. It's kind of a tricky thing, and you think, well, how am I going to do that? What do I do? I want to tell you about Daniel. You heard of Daniel and the lion's den? Yeah? Okay, we've all heard that story. Daniel had 3 friends. Their names are Shadrach, Meshach, and abed-nego. Have you heard them? They were thrown in the fire, right? And Jesus saved them and they were not burned, okay? So from now forward, I'm going to just call them Daniel's friends because I don't want to have to say their names over and over. So Daniel and his friends were once kind of in trouble with the king, and now later on, they get to be servants with the king, and they get to fight in the king's army. So when you're in the king's army, you get to eat the king's food, and you get to drink of the king's wine, and the whole army gets to partake of this. But Daniel and his friends said, no, thank you. We will not partake of the king's meat. We will only have pulse to eat and water to drink. Well, they kind of offended the king. He could not believe that these men would not partake of his awesome feast. They get an awesome feast every day. Their bellies could be filled every day in a time that there was nothing. There was hardly any food or water for any of the people to drink if you were just a common person. And now they have access to all the food they could ever want, any beverage they could even imagine. And they turned it down. Why do you think they turned it down?
Follow the word of wisdom.
Yeah, they were trying to follow the word of wisdom. So as we read the word pulse, we think, what is that? What is that word? What does that mean? Well, pulse, in a very condensed form, is fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Okay? This is what Daniel and his friends chose to eat instead of eating of the king's food. So as they were eating this, they finally made a deal with the king, and they said, okay, if you eat your meal, everybody, all the soldiers eat the king's meat, we partake of pulse and water. At the end of this allotted time, you're going to come back, and we will have a feat of strength competition. And they did. So the time went by, and they tested everyone. And in every single area, when it came to body, mind, strength, ability, agility, everything, Daniel and his men were 10 times better. They were 10 times faster. They were 10 times stronger. They were 10 times better at everything. And so then, after the king finds this out, he now says, pulse and water for everyone. He made everyone switch and have the pulse and water because it was better for them. What they were doing was putting in good things and allowing it so the bad things could be released from their bodies. And that's really what we should be doing. I'm not here to say, never eat this, never eat that, never eat a whole bag of Doritos by yourself. We've all been there. We've all done it, or at least wanted to. But I will say, the more good things you're putting into your body, the easier it is to clean out when you're eating those bad things, right? Because we need to enjoy life. We need to, not feel shunned when we say no to a cookie. But they are things that help us on our way. So, another thing I want to talk about is Joseph of Egypt. We've heard of him, right? Okay. Joseph was sold into Egypt, as we know, and his father gave him a coat of many colors, right? And his brothers were super jealous. Well, something that you may not know about this coat of many colors is this is a tradition that they had probably since the beginning of time. I'm not sure when it started. But what they would do is they would fast. And they would have, and it was only the best of the best people could do this. What they would do is they would fast on water. And then they would have the water for 7 days. And then they would have a color of the rainbow for every single week. So 1 week was only on water. Then the next week, it was only red foods. And then the next week, it was only orange foods. And then all the way through the Roy G. Biv, only those foods. Okay? And this was a way to make them complete, and it was a way to connect themselves with God. And so it was only the highest of people that could do this, and that, it was an awesome, awesome thing. So it was after Joseph completed this long fast of eating the foods of the rainbow that his father gave him the coat that was the color of the rainbow. Fun little fact if you didn't know why his father was so proud of him and gave him this coat and didn't give it to his brothers. Okay? So, as Daniel is eating the colors of the rainbow, I'm going to pass this around, and you can see I have broken down that the foods in each color actually do certain things for your body. So I'll just